"You're a failure. I'm taking everything." My wife thought she won. She had no idea what was coming. I never thought much about Vanessa's habits. For 12 years, we had the kind of routine that most couples fall into. Work, kids, dinner, sleep, repeat. We weren't perfect, but we had a rhythm. That's why, at first, I didn't question it when she started acting different. It began subtly. One evening, I walked into the living room, exhausted from a long day on site, covered in sawdust, expecting the usual. Vanessa curled up on the couch watching one of her reality shows, but instead, she was hunched over her phone, her expression tense. The moment she saw me, she tilted the screen away and locked it. That was the first time I noticed. "Haven't seen you lock your phone before," I said casually, setting my tool bag down. She didn't even look up. Privacy's important, Ryan. Not everything needs to be shared. That was new. We'd always had an open phone policy, not because we needed it, but because we had nothing to hide. And now, suddenly, she was treating her phone like a teenager sneaking texts past curfew. I should have questioned it more, but I let it go. I was tired. The kids needed help with their homework, and Vanessa had always been a little dramatic. I figured she was just going through a phase. But then, there were the coffee dates with Damon. Damon, her brother, had always been a thorn in my side, a smooth talker with a champagne taste and a beer budget. He had a habit of borrowing money that never found its way back. He was the kind of guy who leased a BMW to impress women, but still lived in his parents' basement at 32. And suddenly, every Wednesday afternoon, Vanessa had these long, mysterious meetings with him. "I don't get why you're spending so much time with Damon," I said one evening as I scrubbed dried paint off my hands. "He's my brother, Ryan. He's been giving me financial advice," she replied without looking up from her laptop. I nearly choked. Financial advice? From Damon? The same Damon who needed 3 co-signers for his last car loan? She shot me a glare. "You're always so judgmental. He's trying to turn his life around." I let it go, again. Because what was I supposed to do? Demand she stop seeing her own brother? It felt ridiculous. Then, 2 weeks ago, the real gut punch landed. It was a Thursday morning, just another normal day. I got Ethan to 10 and Lily 8 ready for school, packed their lunches, made sure Ethan didn't forget his homework again, and kissed them goodbye at drop-off. Then I headed to work, installing custom cabinetry for a high-end client. Around noon, I stopped by my usual sandwich shop. I swiped my card. Declined. Weird. I had just deposited a payment from a client. I tried again. Declined. My stomach turned. Pulling out my phone, I checked my bank app. Balance: $0. Savings: empty kids' college fund. Gone. Something was very, very wrong, and I was about to find out just how deep this betrayal went. My hands trembled as I stared at the bank app. $0. Everything. Wiped out overnight. Savings, joint accounts, even the kids' college fund. I tried to stay calm. There had to be a mistake. Maybe it was a bank error, a glitch. Maybe Vanessa had made a big transfer without telling me. But why? I called the bank. The customer service rep's voice was polite but detached as she read off the transactions. Every penny had been transferred that morning to an account I didn't recognize. That's when the cold realization hit. I called Vanessa, straight to voicemail, texted her. No response. My gut twisted. Something wasn't just wrong. Something was deliberate. I broke every speed limit getting home. As I turned onto our street, my stomach dropped. Damon's leased BMW was parked right in my driveway. And worse, he was hauling my kids' stuff into his car. I barely had the truck in park before I was out the door. What the hell is going on? My voice was calm, but I could feel the rage boiling just beneath the surface. Damon didn't even flinch. He smirked, tossing a box of Ethan's toys into his trunk. Well, look who finally decided to show up. The failure himself. I ignored him. I stepped past him and into my own home. Or what was left of it. The front door was wide open. Inside, it was chaos. Boxes, half-packed bags, my kids' things being carted away like this was some kind of coordinated military operation. And there, standing in the center of it all, barking orders like a queen on her throne, was Vanessa. She turned when she saw me, and the look on her face. Not guilt, not regret, just smugness. Want to explain where our money went? I asked, my voice deadly calm. She crossed her arms. My money, Ryan. You really thought I was going to let you keep controlling everything? I laughed, short and bitter. Controlling? Vanessa, I've been working 60-hour weeks while you maxed out credit cards on designer purses. Her face twisted. You're a total failure, Ryan. Living paycheck to paycheck, no ambition. I deserve better. I couldn't even process what I was hearing. This was the woman I built a life with, the mother of my kids, and she had planned this, plotted to take everything, to leave me with nothing. Then Damon, always needing to prove himself, decided to play the tough guy. He grabbed a baseball bat from his car. Who keeps a bat in a BMW? Before I could react, he took a full swing at my work truck. The sound of shattering glass filled the air as my headlights exploded. Then another swing, a massive dent in the hood. I should have lunged at him. I should have lost it. But instead, I did the one thing they didn't expect. I smirked, pulled out my phone, and hit record. Vanessa's face drained of color. Damon froze mid-swing. Keep going, I said coolly. That's about $3,000 in damage you just did. Real smart. Damon dropped the bat like it burned him. Vanessa started, screaming about me threatening them, about how I was a monster. I didn't care. I just walked straight past them, went to my home office, grabbed every important document I could find. Birth certificates, tax returns, insurance papers, everything. Vanessa's voice followed me as I left. You're pathetic, Ryan. Have fun sleeping in your truck. I paused at the door, turning back one last time. You know what's funny, Vanessa? For someone who thinks she's so smart, you don't pay attention to the important stuff. But don't worry, you'll figure it out soon enough. I walked out. She thought she had won. She had no idea what was coming. I checked into a cheap motel on the edge of town that night. The kind with flickering neon lights and a front desk clerk who barely looked up as I paid for the room in cash. The air smelled like stale cigarettes and regret. But I didn't care. I had bigger problems. I sat on the stiff mattress, staring at my phone, trying to make sense of everything. Vanessa had taken everything. My money, my kids, my home. She thought she had won. She was wrong. I wasn't some clueless fool she could steamroll. I had spent 12 years breaking my back, building my business from the ground up. And she thought I'd just roll over and accept defeat. Not a chance. I took a deep breath, forced myself to focus. Panic wouldn't help me now. I needed a plan. First, I called my bank. I froze what accounts I could. The ones she hadn't drained yet. The bank rep confirmed what I suspected. The transfers had been deliberate. Vanessa had been planning this for months. I gritted my teeth. Fine. Let's see how she handles being under investigation for fraud. Next, I called my old buddy Sean, a forensic accountant who owed me a favor. I need you to dig, I told him. Everything you can find on Vanessa's spending. Sean whistled low. Sounds like a divorce war. You have no idea. Then, the most important call. Louise Carter, divorce attorney extraordinaire. Louise came highly recommended. Ruthless, brilliant, and known for tearing apart liars in court. I gave her the rundown, told her about the money, the custody threats, Damon smashing my truck. When I finished, there was silence on the other end of the line. Then, Louise chuckled. They really screwed up, Ryan. She wasn't just talking about the money. Vanessa and Damon had made one massive mistake. They thought they were smart. They thought I was just some dumb contractor who wouldn't fight back. Louise's voice sharpened. They committed fraud by taking money from your business account. That's illegal. And Damon? Vandalizing your truck on video. That's criminal damage. Oh, and the custody threats. Judges don't like when parents use children as weapons. For the first time all day, I felt something other than rage and exhaustion. I felt hope. The next morning, I started making calls. Lots of calls. Turns out, when you've spent years doing honest work, treating people right, and keeping your word, people remember. By noon, my biggest clients were warning me about Vanessa and Damon, how they'd been meeting with my competitors, spreading lies about me. A local restaurant owner even sent me security footage of them sitting in a back booth, whispering like criminals. Then came the kicker. That afternoon, I got a text from Regina, Vanessa's best friend for over a decade. Can we meet? There's something you need to know. My heart pounded. Vanessa thought she had buried me. She had no idea I was already digging my way out. I met Regina at a quiet coffee shop across town. She was already there when I arrived, nervously stirring, her drink, eyes darting to the door like she was afraid someone would catch her. The moment I sat down, she leaned in. Ryan, you need to know the truth. I folded my arms. I already know Vanessa drained our accounts and tried to ruin me. What else is there? Regina shook her head. That's just the surface. She's been lying to everyone. She pulled out her phone and started scrolling. Then she turned the screen toward me. Instagram DMs. Hundreds of messages. All from Vanessa. And every single one of them made my blood run cold. She had planned this for months, bragging about fooling me. He's such an idiot. He still thinks I'm just stressed out. Setting up secret bank accounts. Damon says I should start moving money now. So it looks like I've been managing my own finances for years, convincing her friends I was abusive. He never lets me do anything. I'm basically his prisoner. And the worst one? The one that nearly made me put my fist through the table? Talking about sabotaging my business. I clenched my jaw as I read it. She and Damon had been meeting with my biggest competitors, trying to steal clients out from under me. Why are you showing me this? I finally asked, my voice low. Regina took a shaky breath. Because she did the same thing to me. I frowned. What do you mean? Regina's eyes hardened. Last month, she tried to sleep with my husband. That took me a second to process. Regina nodded. He shut her down, so she threatened to tell me he came on to her unless he helped with her divorce scheme. He recorded everything. She slid a USB drive across the table. I exhaled slowly, gripping the tiny device. This was it, the ammunition I needed. Ryan? Regina hesitated. She thinks she's untouchable. She really believes she's going to win. She has no idea how badly she's about to lose. I left the coffee shop feeling something I hadn't felt in days. Power. I called Louise, my lawyer, and told her everything. I have proof of fraud, parental alienation, defamation, and now, witness testimony about her trying to destroy my business. Louise actually laughed. Oh, this just keeps getting better. Over the next few days, I moved with precision. Filed emergency court orders. Vanessa wasn't getting away with this. Moved into a small apartment near the kids' school. Nothing fancy, but safe. A place they could call home. Started calling my clients. Instead of losing business, I was gaining more support than ever. Turns out, people don't take kindly to backstabbing. And while I stayed quiet, Vanessa was still playing her game. Posting on Facebook about how I abandoned her. Crying to mutual friends about how she sacrificed everything for me. She thought she was still in control. She had no idea that the walls were already closing in. Tuesday morning, I walked into the courtroom feeling strangely calm. This was it, the moment Vanessa had been waiting for. She was convinced she'd win, that her lies would hold up in court, that she'd walk away with everything. She came in dressed to impress, wearing a fake designer outfit, trying to look like the sympathetic victim. But there was something off about her, a nervous energy, like she knew something wasn't right but couldn't quite put her finger on it. Her new high-powered attorney started the show, standing up confidently. "Your Honor, my client has been forced to endure years of emotional neglect. Mr. Carter was absent, working constantly, leaving her to raise their children alone. She had no choice but to secure financial stability for herself and the kids." Vanessa nodded along, pretending to dab at non-existent tears. I didn't react. Because I didn't have to. Louise, my lawyer, simply smiled and stood up. "Your Honor, we'd like to present some evidence before this goes any further." She handed a stack of documents to the judge, Vanessa's credit card statements. On average, Mrs. Carter spent $2,000 per month at bars and restaurants, mostly between the hours of 9 p.m. and 2 a.m., while my client was at home caring for their children. The courtroom went dead silent. Vanessa froze. Her lawyer started flipping through the documents, his confident smirk fading fast. But Louise wasn't done. "We also have sworn testimony from the children's teachers, confirming that on multiple occasions, Mrs. Carter failed to pick them up from school, claiming she was stuck at work, while her social media posts show her at various venues with male companions." The judge's expression could have turned milk sour. Then the real bombshell. The courtroom doors opened and Regina walked in. Vanessa actually gasped. For a split second, I saw the real her, the one who realized her carefully constructed web of lies was about to snap. Vanessa sprang to her feet, rushing toward Regina like they were old friends. "Oh my God, I knew you'd come." Regina walked right past her and sat on my side of the courtroom. Vanessa's jaw dropped. Her lawyer tried to call for a recess, but the damage was already done. By the time we returned, custody had been split 50-50, with me getting primary physical custody due to stability concerns. Vanessa lost it. She screamed that I'd ruined her life, that I'd manipulated everyone, that it wasn't fair. She had to be escorted out by security. But the hits didn't stop there. The next morning, Damon, her idiot brother, stormed into the local diner where I take the kids for breakfast. He spotted me, and just like that, he snapped, started yelling about how I destroyed his sister, how he was going to ruin me. He shoved the 60-year-old owner of the diner. 3 customers immediately pulled out their phones, recording everything. Cops showed up within minutes. Damon tried to play the victim until the security cameras confirmed everything. He left in handcuffs screaming about how I'd set him up. That same afternoon, I got a call from Ethan's teacher. "Mr. Carter, I think you should know. Your son mentioned that his mom has a lot of friends over at night, and that he and Lily lock their bedroom door because it gets too loud." My stomach turned. I knew Vanessa was spiraling, but I hadn't realized just how far she'd already fallen. It all came crashing down for Vanessa faster than even I expected. The night after the court hearing, I got a call from Ethan. His voice was small, hesitant. "Dad, Mom's having another party. The music's really loud. Can you come get us?" That was all I needed to hear. I drove straight to Vanessa's new apartment. When I got there, the sight in front of me made my stomach twist. The front door was half open, loud music blasted from inside, and empty liquor bottles littered the porch. I stepped inside. The air was thick with alcohol and cigarette smoke. Vanessa was slumped on the couch, laughing loudly with 2 guys I'd never seen before. They barely acknowledged me when I walked in. But the real heartbreak, Ethan and Lily were huddled in the hallway, clutching their backpacks, their eyes red from crying. Lily ran straight into my arms. "I want to go home, Daddy." That was it. That was the moment Vanessa lost the last shred of credibility she had left. I pulled out my phone and hit record. Walked through the apartment, documenting everything. The empty bottles, the strangers, the mess. Then I called the cops. Vanessa snapped. "What are you doing? You can't do this." She lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. "You did this, Vanessa. I'm just making sure there's proof." When the police arrived, the officers took one look around and immediately called for a wellness check on the kids. One of them recognized me from the diner incident with Damon. "You again?" he muttered, shaking his head. Vanessa tried to argue, slurring her words, insisting I was overreacting. But when the officer reviewed the body cam footage and my recordings, her tone changed instantly. "Ryan, please, don't do this." Her voice cracked. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes, but it was too late. Custody was immediately revised. The judge granted me full custody, reducing Vanessa to supervised visits only. She tried to fight it, but the evidence was too damning. Karma came for everyone. Damon wasn't doing much better. After his public meltdown at the diner, the investors pulled out of his latest business venture. His probation violation landed him 30 days in county jail. And when he got out, his girlfriend had left him, took their dog, took his PlayStation. He had to move back in with his parents, the same parents who finally cut him off. I heard through the grapevine that he tried to start a podcast about male empowerment. It flopped after 3 episodes. Vanessa's last desperate move weeks later, I got a text from her. 2:14 a.m. "I'm sorry I ruined everything. Can we talk?" I waited 12 hours before replying. Nothing to talk about. Focus on being better for our kids. She didn't like that answer. She showed up at my door, eyes red, looking nothing like the woman I once knew. Tears streamed down her face. "Ryan, I've changed. I miss my family. We can fix this." I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing. "You know, Vanessa, if you'd been honest from the start, we might have worked something out. But you chose scorched earth. Hope it was worth it." Then I closed the door. A new beginning these days? I'm doing better than ever. My business is thriving. Clients respect me more than ever. The kids are happier, healthier, and finally at peace. I started dating again. Cassidy, a friend of my sister's from the gym. Taking it slow, no rush. Last night, Ethan and Lily were decorating for our Halloween party. Ethan looked up from hanging streamers and asked, "Dad, was Mom always like this? And we just didn't notice." I sighed, ruffled his hair. "She made bad choices, buddy, but that doesn't mean we have to let them control us." Lily grinned. "I like it here better than before." And just like that, I realized losing everything was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because now I finally have something better. Peace. Life has a way of revealing people's true colors when you least expect it. Betrayal, loss, and hardship can feel like the end. But they can also be a new beginning. If there's one lesson from this story, it's this. Never ignore the red flags. Protect what's yours, and always play the long game. The people who try to destroy you often think they're invincible, but truth has a way of catching up to them. Stay patient, stay smart, and most importantly, never let someone else's deception define your future. In the end, peace is the best revenge.